Have you ever found yourself in that really common situation where you know what's right, what you feel you should do?
Oh, absolutely.
But there's just this, I don't know, this unseen force, maybe an impulse pulling you the other way towards something you know isn't quite right.
Yeah, that internal tug of war. It's such a universal human thing, isn't it?
It really is.
And what's truly remarkable is how an ancient text, Bhagavad Gita, speaks so directly to this exact experience. So today, we're doing a deep dive into chapters 16 and 17 of the Gita.
Okay.
These chapters, they offer this incredibly insightful framework, really, for understanding those inner conflicts and maybe mapping a path toward a more integrated, fulfilling life.
And you might think, a scripture written thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
How relevant can it be to modern life, to our anxieties and challenges?
Right.
But it's surprisingly, almost profoundly relevant. So our mission here is to pull out practical, actionable insights from these deep texts.
Exactly, to help you, the listener, transform your understanding of yourself, your motivations, and your actions.
So let's get into it. Where do we start with chapter 16?
Okay, so chapter 16 basically lays out two fundamental pathways or maybe tendencies for human beings.
Yeah.
It calls them the divine and the demoniac.
Divine and demoniac, okay.
Think of them as two distinct sets of inclinations that really shape our choices,
Yeah.
our inner landscape.
Right. So the divine qualities first. What are those like? The Daivi Sampat, is that the term?
That's it, Daivi Sampat. These are described as leading toward inner freedom, towards liberation.
Okay.
So this includes virtues like fearlessness, purity of heart, generosity, self-control, being truthful, nonviolence, compassion, things like that. It's essentially a kind of blueprint for inner growth and harmony.
But it's not just about these grand virtues, is it? The text implies it's more subtle, too.
Precisely. That's the real insight. It's about recognizing the subtle presence or absence of these qualities in just your everyday interactions.
Like, are you truly listening with an open mind in a conversation?
Or are you jumping to judge? Exactly. And on the flip side, you have the demoniac qualities, Vyasuri Sampat.
Okay, the other path.
And these are said to lead to inner entanglement, suffering, distress.
So what falls into this category?
Well, the list includes things like hypocrisy, arrogance, excessive pride, anger, harshness, ignorance, and especially unchecked desire. The Gita paints a pretty clear picture. Cultivate the divine, you move towards freedom,
Right.
succumb to the demoniac, and you get tangled up.
And this is where it gets really, I think, practical for our lives today. The Gita points to 3 specific things it calls gates to hell:
Yes, the 3 main drivers.
lust, anger, and greed. When these are left unchecked, the text says they're the primary causes of our downfall. What's fascinating, though, is how they show up. It's not always, dramatic evil. It can be subtle.
Absolutely, it could be that little flash of anger when someone cuts you off in traffic.
Or just endlessly scrolling through online shops when you don't actually need anything. That kind of subtle greed or desire.
Exactly. The Gita really prompts us to become detectives of our own inner world,
Yeah.
to spot these subtle cravings and reactions before they gain momentum and escalate.
Okay, so that's chapter 16, the 2 paths, the key pitfalls. What about chapter 17? How does that build on this?
Right, so chapter 17 shifts focus slightly. It looks at the profound influence of the 3 gunas.
Ah, yes, the gunas. Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. We've touched on those before.
We have. They're these fundamental entities or qualities of nature. And chapter 17 really elaborates on how they specifically impact, well, almost everything. From our faith, our Shraddha, to our daily habits, even our spiritual practices.
So, okay, if chapter 16 gives us the divine or demoniac tendencies, chapter 17 gives us more of the why and how, showing the underlying energies pushing us one way or the other.
That's a great way to put it. It's like a deep psychological framework operating beneath the surface. The Gita explains that everyone is born with Shraddha, or faith, this innate inclination. But the nature of that faith, its quality, is deeply shaped by whichever guna is dominant in us.
So depending on whether you're predominantly Sattvic, Rajasic, or Tamasic, your face itself will look and feel different.
Exactly. And it even affects what or who people choose to revere.
How so?
Well, Sattvic individuals who embody more purity and clarity, they tend to gravitate towards universal, benevolent ideals or divine principles. Concepts of truth, goodness.
Okay, makes sense.
Rajasic people, driven more by passion, activity, ambition, they might be drawn to more dynamic, powerful figures, or maybe focus on achieving specific worldly goals through their faith.
Right, more action-oriented.
And then Tamasic individuals, influenced more by inertia, ignorance, maybe delusion, they might unfortunately be drawn toward more, let's say, primal forces, spirits, or even darker energies. Or perhaps follow practices without real understanding. The key insight here is that your internal state, your dominant guna, heavily influences what you put your faith in. And importantly, the Gita warns that engaging in practices that go against established wisdom or scripture, regardless of your intention, can actually disrupt your inner harmony. It doesn't lead to true benefit.
So it's not just about having faith, but the quality of that faith and where it's directed.
That's precisely.
And you said this influence extends to daily habits, like food.
Yes, absolutely fundamental things like food. The Gita actually categorizes food based on its energetic impact, aligning it directly with the three gunas.
Okay, this is fascinating. So, sattvic food.
Sattvic food is described as promoting lifespan, vitality, strength, health, happiness, satisfaction. It's typically juicy, smooth, substantial, naturally agreeable to the body.
So like wholesome, fresh, nourishing meals, things that leave you feeling clear and light.
Exactly. Think fresh fruits, vegetables, grains, dairy, nuts. Food that's naturally pleasant and doesn't cause agitation.
Okay, then Rajasic food.
Rajasic food is often characterized by intense flavors, excessively bitter, sour, salty, hot, pungent, dry, burning.
Ah, so things that might overstimulate.
That's the idea. These foods are said to cause discomfort, pain, potentially disease, and lead to mental agitation or restlessness.
Right. And the third type, Tamasic food.
Tamasic food. This includes anything stale, tasteless, putrid, decaying, leftover, or impure, things cooked improperly, or food that's essentially dead energetically. Such foods are believed to increase inertia, dullness, confusion. They're preferred by those with more tamasic tendencies and lead to a loss of clarity.
So the takeaway isn't necessarily a rigid diet plan,
Not at all.
but more an invitation to pay attention, to notice how what you eat affects not just your body, but your mind, your mood, your energy levels.
That's exactly it. It's about developing awareness of that connection.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? If you're feeling sluggish or agitated, maybe look at your plate. But it goes deeper than food, you said, into spiritual practices.
Yes. The gunas profoundly influence three core practices discussed in chapter 17. Yajna, which means sacrifice or selfless action, tapas, austerity or self-discipline, and dhyana, charity or giving.
Okay, let's break those down, starting with yajna, selfless action. How do the gunas play out there?
So a sattvic yajna is performed according to scriptural guidance, purely as a matter of duty, without expecting any personal reward or focusing on the results. The action itself is the offering.
Just doing what needs to be done selflessly.
Okay, a Rajasic yajna, on the other hand, is performed primarily for show, or maybe to gain recognition, respect, or aiming for a specific desired outcome, like material prosperity. It's about the external validation or result.
So there's an agenda there.
A definite agenda.
Yeah.
And a tamasic yajna. This is one performed without following proper procedures, without faith, without sharing food or offering proper dues, without the right mantras. It's considered futile, really, yielding no real benefit because the core intention and reverence are missing.
Right, just going through the motions, or worse. Okay, next up was tapas, austerity, or discipline.
Yes, and the Gita breaks tapas down into three types: austerity of the body, speech, and mind.
Interesting. Physical austerity.
Physical tapas includes things like showing reverence to the divine, to wise elders, to teachers, practicing cleanliness, simplicity, continence, and ahimsa, or nonviolence.
Okay. And verbal austerity.
Austerity of speech involves speaking words that are truthful, pleasing, beneficial, and don't cause agitation to others. Also, regular study of sacred texts.
So mindful speech and mental austerity.
Mental tapas is about cultivating serenity, gentleness, silence for introspection, self-control, and purity of thought and intention.
Wow, that covers a lot. And how do the gunas affect how these austerities are performed?
Well, just like with food or yajna, it depends on the underlying quality. Sattvic tapas is undertaken with supreme faith, as a duty, with no expectation of reward. It's done for inner purification.
Pure intention.
Rajasic tapas is performed ostentatiously for the sake of gaining respect, honor, worship. It might look impressive, but it's often unstable, temporary, and perhaps tinged with hypocrisy.
Okay, doing it to be seen doing it.
Pretty much. And then tamasic tapas. This is performed out of some kind of foolish stubbornness or involves self-torture or is even undertaken with the malicious intent to harm someone else.
Gosh, that's quite dark. It really shows how The why behind an action completely changes its nature, even if the action itself looks similar on the surface.
It really does.
Yeah.
It forces you to reflect on your own motivations.
Definitely. Okay, the last one was Dhyana, charity or giving. How do the gunas color this?
Right, Diane. Sattvic charity is giving done purely as a duty, without expecting anything in return. It's offered at the right time, in the right place, and to a worthy person, someone who truly needs it or can use it well, and who perhaps cannot repay.
Yeah.
It's selfless compassion.
The ideal form of giving.
Then you have Rajasic Dhyana. This is giving done with the expectation of some return, or hoping for future rewards, or maybe given grudgingly, reluctantly.
So there's a string attached, or at least a mental calculation.
Exactly. You might do it, but your heart isn't fully in it, or you're keeping score somehow.
Right, and Tamasic Dhyana.
Tamasic charity is given disrespectfully, perhaps with contempt, to an unworthy person, or at an inappropriate time or place. It lacks true compassion and honor.
It's amazing how these distinctions run through everything. Our inner state, our dominant guna, our intentions, they literally permeate every single thing we do.
It's true. Every choice, every action, whether it seems big or small, carries the imprint of our inner quality. And to kind of bring this whole discussion together, Chapter 17 culminates with a really profound, somewhat esoteric concept. The mantra, Om Tat Sat.
Om Tat Sat. Okay, what does that signify?
It's described as the threefold designation of Brahman, the ultimate reality, the absolute truth.
Right.
Think of it like this. Om represents the primordial sound, the vibration of creation. The absolute Tat means that, signifying the transcendent impersonal reality beyond description. And Sat means truth, goodness, reality, auspiciousness, that which truly is.
Om Tat Sat. So the sound, the transcendence, the reality.
Exactly. And the Gita explains that when these sacred syllables are consciously invoked during spiritual practices like yajna, tapas, dhyana, they consecrate the action, they purify the intention, and connect the practitioner and the act itself to that supreme truth.
So using the mantra adds a layer of sacredness and elevates the action.
Precisely. It aligns the act with the highest reality. And here's the crucial point the Gita makes. Any sacrifice, austerity, or charity performed without genuine faith, without that connection symbolized by Om Tat Sat, essentially, is considered asat.
Asat, meaning
Unreal, non-existent, futile. It bears no real fruit, either in this life or the next.
Yeah.
It's like planting a seed without fertile ground or water.
Wow. So faith isn't just a nice to have, it's fundamental for these practices to actually work, to have a real effect.
Absolutely essential. Which raises the question, right? If faith is so crucial, how do we cultivate that genuine sattvic faith? And the implication is, well, it's by consciously choosing sattvic actions, sattvic foods, sattvic thoughts. By deliberately aligning ourselves, our actions, our words, with these principles of truth, duty, selflessness. It's about transforming even mundane activities into conscious spiritual offerings.
So to kind of wrap this up for everyone listening, what are the main takeaways from this deep dive today?
Well, we've explored these contrasting paths. The Gita lays out the divine and the demonic tendencies within us, how our inclinations manifest outwardly.
Right, 16.
And then chapter 17 really showed us the profound influence of those three, guna, sattva, rajas, and tamas.
Yeah, how they color everything from our basic faith and food choices
Yeah.
to our spiritual practices like selfless action, yajna, self-discipline, tapas, and charity, dhyana. We saw how the quality of the action changes completely based on the guna.
And we finished with that powerful concept of Om Tat Sat.
That mantra representing the ultimate truth, and how faith, that connection to Sat, is key for any practice to be truly fruitful. So the big message seems to be that the Gita isn't just some ancient philosophy book.
Not at all.
It's incredibly practical, a guide really for navigating the complexities of your own mind, your own motivations, especially in the modern world. It's encouraging you to consciously align your actions with your highest intentions.
Instead of just being pulled around by those unconscious urges or habits, the Rajasic or Tamasic tendencies.
And real lasting change. People like Mahatma Gandhi, even Albert Einstein, they understood this. Change comes from inner work, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Gandhi famously turned to the Gita constantly, especially in difficult times. He said he'd find a verse and it would make him smile, even amidst tragedy.
Wow.
And Einstein, though approaching from a scientific view, was deeply moved by the Gita's cosmology, its description of creation. He reportedly said something like, understanding that made other questions seem superfluous.
It really shifts the focus inward.
It really does, which leads us to maybe a final thought for you to ponder. If, as the Gita strongly suggests, our biggest obstacles, our deepest struggles, aren't really out there in the world, but they're actually rooted within our own minds, our own tendencies. Then what's one small, consistent, maybe Sattvic or selfless action you could start taking today? Something concrete to begin consciously transforming that inner landscape.